here, Denver. Yeah. I just. Give me a minute. When you're running like 40 miles, it really does make a difference, like the big the sheet.
Thank you to everybody who is joining us. We're just going to give it another minute because we still have some folks joining online. All right. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the US 50 Blue Mesa Bridge Update meeting. My name is Stacia Sellers. I am the Colorado Department of Transportation's Public Information Officer. We are conducting this meeting today in English, Spanish, and American Sign Language. Before we kick off our updates and the question and answer session, we do need to go over a few logistics. Lindsay Daniels is on, and she's available to help with any technical issues you may have if you're joining us virtually. And her contact information is going into the chat now. Thank you to Sherry, Jill, and Nydia, Sherry, Jill, who are ASL interpreters, and Nydia and B, who are Spanish interpreters for the evening. Our CDOT staff will be conducting this meeting in English. For English, click on the interpretation menu with the globe icon and select Listen in English, or just stay here with me. To turn on or off ASL interpretation, click on the interpretation menu and American Sign Language. I will now turn it over to our Spanish interpreter, Nydia. Can you please welcome our Spanish speakers?
Gracias, Taisa. Hola, mi nombre es Nidia, yo voy a ser su intérprete de para los hispanohablantes. Bienvenidos y va a ser un placer hacer su anfitriona en el canal de español. Para poder conectarse al audio de español o el canal del español, por favor, hágale clic al menú de interpretación con el icono del globo y selecciona Escucha en español o selecciona Listen in Spanish. Para escuchar nada más en español y evitar que esté en inglés y en español, puedes hacerle clic al audio y le haces clic donde dice Mute Original Audio o que se ponga en silencio el audio original. Gracias.
Thank you, Nydia. This is a hybrid meeting, and we thank all of you who are joining us in person today at the Gunnison Courthouse, as well as virtually. CDOT, Hewitt, and Gunnison County will provide an update, and we will then turn it over to a question and answer session. Please feel free to type in questions into the chat box if you're joining us online. And for those attending in person, please line up at the microphone at the table at the right side of the room, or just right here in front of me, right next to Matt up there. Please limit your questions to be under 45 seconds just to make sure we're getting to all of the questions. It's possible that we might not get to everybody's questions. If that is the case, please feel free to email us at us50bridge@gmail.com. All of our contact information will be displayed at the end of today's meeting as well, so you can get that information. But again, you can email us at us50bridge@gmail.com. This meeting is being recorded, and the meeting recording will be available on the US 50 Blue Mesa Bridge website. We are joined today by Gunnison County Commissioner Liz Smith, CDOT's Executive Director Shoshana Liu, Region 3 Transportation Director Jason Smith, CDOT Chief Engineer Keith Stefanik, Hewitt Project Director Jason Proskovic, and Gunnison Assistant County Manager for Public Works Martin Schmidt. I'm going to first hand it over to Commissioner Smith.
Thank you so much, Stacia, and thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I want to begin with a thanks for all the partners who have been working on this project, including the Gunnison County staff, our partners at the state, And I just want to acknowledge Commissioner Laura Puckett Daniels and Commissioner Hauk, who are also in the room with us this evening. I feel like we are on a good track. And so we keep moving forward and progressing with this project. I know that it has been enormously disruptive to people's lives in our community. And I want to acknowledge that because it will still be some disruption moving forward, but that's something that we see and understand, and we are doing our best to accommodate everybody's needs, and look forward to sharing our updates with you this evening. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it off to
All right.
Director Liu.
Great.
Good evening, and thanks to everyone who's here in the room and here online. And thank you to everyone for your patience and for continuing to join us in these sessions, which have been for us a really valuable way to stay in touch with the community, knowing that it has profound impacts for all of you, and it's a very hard project for those of you who live close to it. What we are here today to discuss hopefully contains some good news, though we are also not there yet. And we know that we can't let up the pace after we get through the milestone that we are hitting this weekend. But at the last session, I was here, which I guess was 2 sessions ago, we talked about getting the bridge open to limited traffic by the 4th of July. And we're here today to be able to talk about what that is going to look like as it opens early tomorrow morning to limited traffic. There will be extended hours through the holiday weekend to do what we can to ease the burden during a big holiday weekend. But following that, there will be stages when it's open during the day and periods when it is restricted to construction so that Kiewit can get this done in full by the winter. Most of the group here was out there on the site today, so we can talk to you in some detail about what we're seeing, and Kiewit can talk in a lot of detail about what is yet to come, but there's a lot of progress on the physical construction, including getting those critical repairs that make it safe for limited traffic done. It will still be weight restricted until the final completion of the project. But what's been installed are physical plates that you'll hear more about at the most vulnerable junctures to make it safe for that limited traffic to cross. The team today will also discuss the plans for the other bridge and sort of how we're going to approach hopefully doing as much as possible under live traffic to get that repaired over the course of the season as well, and how the lessons learned from the inspections that have happened over the last couple of months will make the process of repairing both bridges happen in a streamlined way. So you'll hear more about that, more about the hours of construction and sort of what the rest of the season looks like. Just so that we say it up at the top, 26 remains open, and will obviously be a big part of getting through for the summer season when it's open. The county and the state will continue to do everything we can, working together to make sure that it's able to carry the additional traffic. And that will complement the hours which the bridge itself will now be opened for use. So with that, I will turn it over because we have a big group here who can answer a lot of varieties of questions. And just want to end by thanking everybody again, because we know this is really, really hard. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Liu. My name is Jason Smith. I'm the Region 3 or CDOT Region 3 Transportation Director. Yeah, we're excited to be here today at this point. Back in April, we set some goals and how we could get traffic back on this and how soon. So those goals really were first to get emergency services back on the structure. Next, it was to get passenger vehicles. And then lastly, it was to get the larger vehicles and CMVs across the bridge. So reaching this milestone right now so we can meet the goals of getting those first 2 done, emergency services and passenger vehicles across the structure, is a big deal for us. That's going to help relieve us a lot. And hopefully moving forward, we can even work on, opening it up a little more. So with this on the slide, the schedule for this weekend, starting Wednesday, July 3rd to Sunday, July 7th, we're going to open the structure from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. There'll be 1 lane will be open on the bridge, and it'll be a pilot car operation at slow speeds. It'll be a single direction at a time, so alternating traffic, and we'll switch from one queue to the other direction. We don't expect too long of a wait and queues. We'll do as quick as we can, get traffic across. So depending on how much traffic queues up, it could take a few minutes of wait, but we don't anticipate it taking too long. Then starting on Monday, we're going to go back into our construction operations, and you'll hear a little bit more about the phasing, but we'll move into the next phase of construction. And that's going to look a little different, and it will be limited. It's still going to have start at 6:30 in the morning, but it will be just from 6:30 to 8:30 a.m. opening, and then 4:30 in the afternoon to 6:30 p.m. in the evening. Next slide, please. So what will be allowed on this structure during this time? What will be allowed will be passenger vehicles, as I said, pickup trucks, vans, motorcycles, and emergency vehicles. Things that won't be allowed are the RVs, campers, motorhomes, any vehicles pulling trailers, semi trucks, and buses. They will be asked to use our alternate routes. County Road 26 will be open, and Martin will be talking a little bit more about that, about their schedule, but it'll be continued as you've seen in the past few weeks. So next slide. Here's a graphic just with the same information, you know, kind of giving you an idea of the lake, the stop and closure points where we're going to have flagger stations. On the west side, it's over, you know, County Road 26 area. You're going to see a flagger station that will be directing traffic either to be able to queue up and be able to come across eastbound over the bridge, or it'll need to take County Road 26 if it doesn't meet the restriction criteria. Coming westbound on the Gunnison side, you're going to see a flagger station at the intersection of Colorado Highway 149. And then that'll split vehicles off, depending if they're restricted or not. Vehicles that are not able to come on to the bridge will be asked to use Colorado Highway 9, go down and use the detour route on County Road 26. The vehicles that are allowed to pass will come on the north side of the reservoir, and they'll come down to another flagging station that will queue them up, you know, just north of the structure. Next slide. And you've seen this slide before, just kind of talking about the multiple phases that we had planned for this bridge. And phase one, as we're here tonight, kind of talk about is completion of the critical repairs. And we'll go into some detail here in a minute of what those look like. But we're happy to report that it is per schedule and we're opening it up. As I said before, starting Monday morning, we're going to start our phase two work, and then that'll continue for the rest of the summer and, you know, go into completion for October 2024 is right now our schedule. Next slide. And so with that, I'll turn it on over to Jason Proskovic with Kiewit.
So yes, like everyone has said, the first stage of critical repairs are complete. So we're very pleased with that. And then over the past week, the crews have finished some modifications to the expansion joints on top of the bridge, and really got it cleaned up today, and we're ready to go for tomorrow. Then starting back on the 8th, we'll start the first phase of phase two, which is the top flange repairs. So those will last through July into the first week of August, and then the global repairs on the bottom flange of the structure will start in August. Next slide, please. And then just a few photos to give you all an idea of what's going on under the bridge, because it's hard to see when you drive over. But on the left, that's what we call the quick deck. So that's the access that crews use to get under the bridge to install the various plates. That little middle walkway will end up going across all three spans underneath. And then the larger walkway you see in the back of that picture on the left, will move that forward as we complete repairs. The middle picture there just gives you a little scale of just seeing people on the quick deck and what that looks like. And then the picture on the right is one of the 4 critical repair locations. You know, you can see the beefed up plate there on the bottom of the flange of the girder and all the bolts that are sticking through. Turn it over to Keith.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Keith Stefanik, the Chief Engineer for CDOT. So the slide here in front of you really gives a snapshot of what a rendering looks like for the phase one critical repairs. So over the past several weeks, the Kiewit crews, along with CDOT staff, have been down making modifications underneath the bridge. And we call this a local plate. So you can see it's about 25 feet in length. It covers up some of the critical splice locations and weld locations on this bridge. And it covers up the cracks that we found on these bridge. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what that looks like from a rendering perspective. Now, the next slide is what we call the phase 2 repairs or the global repairs. This is to get this bridge back up to legal load limits and extend the service life of this bridge into the future. The blue shading on here is really what we call global repairs to the bottom flange. It might be a little bit difficult to see on the screen, but it will be the length of the entire bottom flange anywhere on these 3 critical spans where we're in our tension zones on the structure. So it is this covers up from tension zone to tension zone, any of the anomalies or defects on this bridge, and brings it back up to strength. So this will be the work that will be on the structure mainly from July into October. Next slide. This gives a little bit of zoomed out view of the repairs on the 3 center critical spans on this bridge. Next slide. Now, we covered a lot of information on the middle bridge, or Bridge B, referred to, that has been shut down, that's opening tomorrow. We've also had a lot of questions in the past about the Lake Fork Bridge, or Bridge A, that's several miles down US 50. I just want to remind everyone that bridge safety inspections were completed in April of 2024, a few weeks prior to the inspections that were done on this middle bridge. Those inspections did not find any surface cracking on the middle or the Lake Fork Bridge, and that is why it's still in service, unlike the middle bridge, which is shut down to service due to the surface cracking. So just wanted to remind everyone that those safety inspections were done. And now we're headed, now that we have Bridge B, or the middle bridge, back open to limited traffic, our crews are going to head down to the Lake Fork Bridge. Last Friday, you probably saw a lane closure on the Lake Fork Bridge. That was to install some strain gauge sensors. So what we want to do is we want to get, as more traffic is loaded on both of these bridges, we have strain gauges on both of them. It gives us a lot of information about the type of vehicles that are going across, the number of vehicles, any type of movement on the bridge. It gives us a lot of information so our structural engineers and our construction crews can gain knowledge of the bridge and take that back. So that's some of the information of why there was a lane closure on Friday that we put out a press release last week, but just wanted to be upfront on the work that's going on at Lake Fork Bridge. Next slide. So some more information on the Lake Fork Bridge. Both Jason and Jason went over some of the planned closures and the construction for the middle bridge. Now for the Lake Fork Bridge, since we got a lot of questions over the past several weeks and on this bridge. So also starting on July 8th, we'll have single lane closures out on the Lake Fork Bridge. And we're going to do that for some increased inspections starting at the top flange, very similar to the work that we did on the middle bridge. And we're taking all of the lessons learned from the middle bridge and applying those to the Lake Fork Bridge so that we can be more efficient and take all of the structural information, because these bridges are very similar in nature, and bring that over to the Lake Fork Bridge. So that'll be starting on July 8th, and that will run through late July. So single lane closures during the day. As we get into late July, we are going to have to start nighttime closures of the Lake Fork Bridge. Those initial closures are to remove the asphalt overlay on this bridge to reduce the loading while we get the underside decking in place, and our workers are starting to install repairs to the Lake Fork Bridge. Traffic operations through October are forecasted to be single lane closures on the Lake Fork Bridge, and also full nighttime closures on the Lake Fork Bridge in order for us to do some of the critical crane pick locations for the steel that we need to get underneath and installed. We are trying to limit the closures to the middle bridge. I'm sorry, the Lake Fork Bridge as much as possible. Martin will talk a little bit about County Road 25 here in a bit as an alternative route, but we are trying to limit as much as possible. What we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is, we get some of the quick decking out on the Lake Fork Bridge, we're going to monitor the movement of that quick decking to make sure it's safe for our workers. If it's safe for our workers, we're going to try to repair this bridge under live traffic to limit the disruptions. But we'll see once we get the quick decking up there, what type of movement we see. Come tomorrow, when you see the traffic on the middle bridge, you'll see it at slow speeds. The slow speeds are to make sure that the vibration and the impact loading on these bridges are minimal, so it doesn't cause any further damage, and it just allows for safe passages of vehicles through there. So we're also going to have slow speeds on the Lake Fork Bridge as well, to make sure that it's minimal disturbance to that quick decking and the workers underneath. Traffic loading is forecasted to be legal loads, so we're not looking to reduce loads on the Lake Fork Bridge at this time. If we find anything out there, we'll address that as we go through there. We'll have traffic flaggers on both ends of the bridge that will control traffic in the loads across that bridge to make sure that we don't have any oversized loads or non-permitted loads out there accessing that structure. Next slide. So went through a lot of information regarding what we've done to date on the bridges, the county roads. A lot of people have been asking, where is the funding coming from? How much is the funding for these bridges? So all of the funding is in place for the planning level estimates that we are estimating to fix both of these bridges and to pay for the repairs to the county roads that we have done prior to today. So this slide here shows a total of $9 million in pre-construction. This includes inspection, testing, design, and other ancillary costs. 21 million in county road construction and maintenance for a subtotal of 30 million. Then we're estimating the repairs to both bridges. So this is the middle bridge and the Lake Fork Bridge at $81 million for a grand total of 111 million. All of this funding has been approved by the Transportation Commission of Colorado and the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise of Colorado through the Board of Directors. So all of the funding is in place to make these necessary repairs moving forward on this project. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Martin to talk about the county roads. Thank you very much, Keith.
Turn on the microphone. Thank you very much, Keith. We continue to use County Road 26 as our primary bypass. Not only are the grades the best for general traveling public, it doesn't have hard corners or very many consequential areas where we could have major incidents or accidents along the road. As far as a very rarely used road, it's been an ideal opportunity to use as a bypass for this. CDOT and their contractor continue to do work to it, blading it, reapplying chloride, making sure that soft spots that are cropping up are being repaired. But once again, we're seeing this road go from under 100 cars per day to 1,000 cars per day. And that kind of stress and impact is just monumental on a road. But we plan to try to utilize this road because of the safety considerations as the primary bypass as much as possible. As the bridge opens, those vehicles not allowed are going to be using that County Road 26 bypass. And so the work will continue to occur on that. You saw the plans for continued work on Lake Fork, continued work on the middle bridge, and we're going to be continuing to coordinate the closures and traffic control on all of those the best possible way. So if there are nighttime closures on the bridge, we won't be letting people come up and get stuck in the middle of the highway between different releases and things like that. So a lot of coordinations going on as the traffic control continues to be more and more complicated. County Road 12 Kebler Pass has been bladed and chlorided. We continue to do work up there several days a week. We were trying to do that work in advance of the weekend where we're seeing the heaviest traffic. We've seen traffic counts upwards of 1,700 cars a day. That's up at our maximum counts in past years, usually over a weekend like 4th of July or during the peak of leafing season. And so we're seeing these counts when we usually don't see counts that high. We do have soft spots that are healing. We have soft spots that are getting softer, but we are continuing to work on it. And safety and having it be as available as possible to the public is our goal. we are seeing some violations occur of our restrictions up there, and we're seeing damage to the road because of heavy traffic. And so we have flaggers in place that are keeping those restrictions in place during the day. And we're seeing semi trucks come through at 1 a.m. And so it's discouraging that people aren't self-regulating on that road, but it is causing damage along that road from that heavy traffic. So, and then Ohio Pass is open, and it is passable. Drove it yesterday in a rainstorm, and it's in good shape. But it isn't a faster route to Gunnison, nor safer than going through Crested Butte and down Highway 135 on the CDOT corridor. So those roads are all open. They're all free to travel for the public. But again, Kebler has restrictions of a 50-foot maximum length and a 30,000-pound maximum weight. County Road 25 has most of the work to improve it, like 26 had done. But chloride had to be delayed because of all the rain. And so we have chloride scheduled to be applied to that road to harden the surface. The gravel has been placed, signs have been put into place. But the intent behind this is to make sure that we have an emergency relief valve. So if we have to close a bridge in order to do more of the inspections or to do a repair, or the lines get really long when they are doing one-way traffic, County Road 25 is there to help out this situation and again mitigate the impacts. We're not under any auspices or won't be impacts, but that's why we're continuing to keep it closed at the 9-mile marker and allow people to access from the south and from the north to their properties. So the intent is to make sure that when and if it's needed, it's in good shape for the people to be able to travel it like we've been doing on County Road 26. I, again, would like to commend CDOT as being good partners with this, other public agencies being engaged. We still have high stakeholder turnout in all of our meetings, and we love having these meetings to be able to communicate directly with the public so that everybody stays informed.
Great, thank you so much. All right, we are going to kick it off with the Q&A session unless our speakers have any other updates they'd like to share.
Just one note on the funding piece to make clear that one thing we've talked about in a lot of these meetings is whether or not we've been approved for federal assistance. And unfortunately, the answer to that is that we still haven't. So what the Transportation Commission did with respect to the state dollars is they approved paying for the whole thing out of state funding if necessary. Now, certainly that is going to have impacts on other projects, but we view this as a first order priority given the emergency nature of it, and did not want to leave any chance that it wouldn't get done. At the same time, we are continuing to put in requests for grants and other federal assistance in hopes that the DC agencies can backfill some of what the state would otherwise have to pay to free up that money for other projects across the state and across the mountains in particular. So I know that's something we've talked about in a lot of the previous meetings. So I just wanted to clarify that we've been given certainty that we can get it done no matter what. Certainly does have impacts to other projects, but if we can get some additional federal funds, it may relieve some of that pressure.
Great, thank you. All right, as a reminder to the folks in the room, so I know some of you joined after these instructions, but if you do want to ask a question, feel free to go up to this table right next to Matt with the microphone to ask a question, and then we're going to switch between in-person and then virtual. So we'll go ahead and start with in-person.
Thank you. Thank you, Celeste with the Gunnison Chamber and Visitor Center. Just a quick question. People are asking, what's a Sprinter van considered? Is it a RV? Is it a van?
That's a good question in this day of age. I don't want to answer that off the cuff. I think a Sprinter van is fine, but let us follow up with that question. We will make sure that we are consistent on monitoring the Sprinter vans.
Just let us know.
Okay.
We see a lot of travelers in Sprinter van and in vans of that size, of that kind, not always just Sprinter, but
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, thank you. And just another quick question. Is there a point in time, I'm not following the the nighttime closure, is there a point where 50 is going to be closed during the evening altogether?
Yeah, so starting tomorrow, the times, and I don't have the slide in front of me. It's 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. is the opening. Then it's closed from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m.
And at the Lake Fork Bridge as well?
No, it will
No.
be,
Okay,
it will stay the same for the Lake Fork Bridge.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
There may have to be some closures on the Lake Fork Bridge.
Right, yeah, and in the future, it could change on the Lake Fork Bridge, but starting tomorrow, that's the times. And that runs through July 8th. And once July 8th comes, it's 2-hour window in the morning, 2-hour window in the evening. Close down all that other time for the repairs.
Well, one thing to clarify on the Lake Fork Bridge, I think we sort of said this at the top, but the types of findings on the Bridge B, were not found on Lake Fork Bridge. So, we believe that there's an opportunity to strengthen it while traffic is running. The thing we're gonna have to figure out while the project is underway is it safe for the workers to be on the structure while there are repairs ongoing? And hopefully the answer to that is yes, but we'll have a lot more information in the next few days. And Kiewit will be evaluating with the quick deck that they've installed currently, sort of what it does to it when there's live traffic on it and what that means for the folks who are working on the structure and their safety while there's traffic running.
Great, thank you. All right, yes, if you have questions, just feel free to go up there. We're gonna turn virtual next. So this question is going to be for Martin. Can you please advise on current rules applicable to homeowners wanting to access their properties along County Road 26? They had heard that there were some changes to the rules and homeowners can only access their properties with scheduled pilot cars.
Okay, so one of the things I,
Answer the question.
On County Road 26, the county and the Joint Information Center has been sharing that residents there should be using the piloted release times to access their property. And then when they leave, safely navigating the road with whatever release or construction traffic is occurring on the road at that time. Allowing the local resident to bypass a release, a queue waiting for release, creates a lot of confusion. Also can mean that you're coming onto a bunch of oncoming traffic. And so the best way to allow safe access is for them to utilize the release to get in and come out in the safest manner possible.
Thank you. All right, in the room.
I'm cute, okay. Well, one of the things is driving back and forth to Crested Butte from Gunnison. I've noticed an increase in traffic, both going to Crested Butte and coming from Crested Butte. And that I attribute that to the amount of cars coming over Kebler Pass. And so I'm concerned that the drivability of 135 is probably going to get a little more difficult at some time because of the bumps and the cracks and I don't see any potholes as yet, but the drivability is affected. So just so that we're planning in the future, something done on 135 so that the drivability improves. Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, another question. I think this person missed the slide, so someone can cover, is phase 1 done?
Yes, phase 1 at this time has been complete and we'll start on Monday on phase 2.
Great. All right, in person.
Hi, my name is Kendall Rhoda, and with my amazing husband, Joe, and Brenna, Amesley, and Dominic, my children, we are the owners of Sapanair Village Campground on Blue Mesa. We are the ones that are right between Middle Bridge and the Lake Fork Bridge. So I'm sure we will get to talk a lot of how this is all going to progress. I have some, I guess, comments and questions all in one. I'm just so glad to be here finally. Usually when you guys have these meetings, we're so worried about not being able to get back through the 8:30 cutoff. But tonight we just felt this is very important. I need to say thank you to many people and also just voice some concerns. These past 3 months have been devastating on a personal and professional level. The future of Sapanero Village is still undetermined. We would like to express our appreciation to all the men and women who have been working diligently to get this bridge back into place as it will be tomorrow. Jason from Kiewit and CC Enterprises, I want to thank you so much for your workers. Everyone that we have met that works for your company is unbelievable. They are representing your company so well in this community. And I hope our community, when you see CNC Enterprises, the flaggers, and when you see those yellow trucks, that you thank these people for leaving their families and coming here to help with our families. I really appreciate how professional they are. They've been amazing. After you have your celebration tomorrow at the temporary bridge opening, I'm asking you to please focus on the needs, on us, we need the bridge to connect to our community, to get our kids to school, and our spouses to get to work. CDOT, I have to thank you so much. And I don't know if it was the county commissioners through our meeting. Thank you for publishing the detour finally. This has just crushed our business when people cannot map that they can actually get to our company, to get to our facility. But tonight we looked on the maps and guess what? You can actually see the detour. But thank you so much for doing that. That is going to make such a huge difference even in the future of the reservations. I also have to ask a favor that you guys can please discuss. On behalf of the Sapanero people, can we please have an opening on the night of the 4th of July so we can come into Gunnison and participate in the fireworks and the festivities of our community? Again, I do believe that there has been a lot of improvement with communication between the county commissioners and the residents, especially myself, and I appreciate that. I think more meetings that we have together, I feel that there's better communication and that I can relay that information back to the people of Sapanero and into my community. I didn't ever want to be the spokesperson of Sapanero, but I've kind of have. I'm always been the community hub in our community. I think it's my ice cream that I have. It is the ice cream. But we just need to make sure that when disaster happens, we need to make sure that people that are elected or hired into these critical positions are willing to be the ears to listen or the voice for those that have been affected. We need help still. We need help to get mail delivery, to get packages delivery. Running a business or running a home without your mail or package delivery has been really hard. I need you to also be the constant voice in our government's ear to get funding for those of us that have been affected. As I said, I don't know if Sapanero is going to make it through all of this, and funding would really be helpful. CDOT, I appreciate the heart behind your coffee and cookies media event tomorrow. My hope is that you go into Gunnison and go to a locally owned coffee shop and go to a locally owned bakery to purchase your coffee and cookies. Those businesses need that business right now. And that is how you show your support to a community that's going through a disaster like we're going through right now. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to provide that information. All right. And then next online is similar to the Sprinter van question, which I did just get passed a note, so thank you. Sprinter vans are clear to cross the bridge, and then we got a similar question on can pickup trucks with camper tops that sit in the bed also go over the bridge, and so those are two similar, so they are both allowed over the bridge. Thanks to our Kiewit team for live checking that for us. Anybody else in the room would like to answer or ask a question, you can come and join up. If not, we'll keep going virtual.
Stacia, could I just interject? I was thinking and processing after Kendall had come up, but I wanted to just thank you personally for coming and for being that voice for Sapanero. I can tell you that we have been paying attention and listening. We are trying to work on the mail issue. But I can't sit here and not respond to what you just said. And I feel like everything that you're asking for, there are things that we are trying to work on as well. Like every opportunity for funding to help the businesses we just keep running into dead ends, but it's not for a lack of trying. But we will not stop. We're going to continue doing that and talking behind the scenes to see if there are ways that we can get you to join the community for celebrations, et cetera. But I'm not making decisions up here. But I just wanted to say, like, thank you for coming here and talking again. I know that it takes a lot emotionally, and your presence here shows a lot of dedication for your family, your business, and those things that are so important to you. So I just wanted to make sure that we did not sit in silence to your comments.
And if we can respond to just a few of your points, the issue with aligning the hours with school pickup and drop off, we're very aware of that. We actually just had a first conversation with everybody out on site today about making sure that there's alignment between the construction schedule and the school districts. You know, we think that the times we have now should be mostly functional, but that's something that Kiewit I think is ready, willing and able to keep. Yes. Right. So, right. So, right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So let us,
I
yeah.
have families that come from Arrowhead.
Yeah.
That move across the bridge. So and you guys are not supposed to know all those things, you know, so that's why I want to keep this communication.
Absolutely, and we will absolutely commit to that conversation ongoing. The fireworks, let us see what we can figure out. You know, I think all of us hear that and understand, you know, the importance of the request. Let's see if there's something we can do to make it work, and we will get back to you. What's the best way to circle back to folks in Sapanero with the answer to that question?
Probably Kendall.
Okay, somebody will call you.
Yes.
And
I guess what's the ask for the time? Like what, if it got extended on the 4th, what time would be appropriate?
Nice.
So I would imagine an hour.
So and then about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes to get out of town and get to the bridge. I would
Midnight?
say 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah, I would say 10:45, at least an hour. 10:45 to 11:45.
The show is 20 minutes,
Oh, okay.
but then you have the mayhem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I would think getting to the bridge by 11.
We do, it's just.
Reasonable-ish.
Yeah.
The County Road 26 detour, which is still going to operate with the exact same schedule it's had, does have that 10:30 to 11 o'clock timeframe. And I know it does add time to return, but that is available during those time windows.
What I nervous about is that the animals. Well, the people can't see it, I mean, that's pretty tight, maybe went from Gunnison to the 10:30 opening. At nighttime through those roads is pretty tough, and that's what I was worried about by 11.
Let's see what we can do and get back to you.
Great, all right. Okay, next question online is, are there any thoughts on why the middle bridge had problems / cracking, but not the Lake Fork Bridge?
Oh, are there any thoughts? You know, these bridges were constructed at pretty much the same year, same material, same contractor. The middle bridge is longer, the spans are longer. There's higher stress on that. I can't pinpoint an exact reason why a crack appeared on the middle bridge and not on the Lake Fork Bridge. It would just be speculating at this point in time. All I know is the inspections that we performed, the safety inspections we performed, noted the inspections on the middle bridge or the crack on the middle bridge, but not on the Lake Fork Bridge. But we will be diving into the Lake Fork Bridge more and more as July progresses. So safety is the utmost important for us. We want to make sure everyone has their safe travels. Why it happened on either bridge, I can't speculate on that.
Great, thank you, Keith. And our next in-person question, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Chris Klein, Christopher Klein Construction here in town. I find myself people always seem to ask me thinking that I'm the expert on bridges, which I know about enough to be dangerous, but the question that keeps coming up from people that are not in the construction business is, oh, we're patching this bridge, and the term, kind of duct tape and stuff has come up. And I find myself like defending you guys with, this is not a temporary patch, okay? This is a very, very substantial long-term improvement, but I really haven't heard anything about timeline for these repairs. I mean, to me, when I look at it, and I have floated underneath it, and I'm guessing you guys are shooting for a multi-decade repair on this bridge, but I'm asking the question kind of for for the media to be able to publish this as a, are we thinking 30 years, 50 years?
So I just want to make sure I understand the question. Are you asking how long the repairs will last, or how long the repairs will take?
No, I'm asking how long the repairs are intended to last. How long will it extend the lifespan of this bridge?
Yeah, and so that's exactly what we're looking at right now. Our engineers are predicting that this will add a lot of years to the longevity of this bridge. It's not 5 years, it's not 10 years, it's up above that. What we need to determine is how well this bridge handles all the calculations that we've calculated, all the tonnage that we've added, to make sure that these repairs are constructed properly and that they adhere to the calculations. I would not deem this as a short-term fix. This is a lot of money to throw at two bridges. It would cost a lot more to replace both of these bridges than the money that we're putting towards both of these, the 111 million. I don't have a number off the top of my head. I can go back and talk to our structural engineers, whether it's 25. These bridges were built in 1965, probably at the time. It's probably 75 year life expectancy of a bridge of this magnitude. So I don't have the exact answer for you, but we are not looking to be out here in the near term future continuing to fix these bridges. These fixes that we are doing this summer into the fall will handle all legal loads moving forward, and should be a lot longer than a short-term fix.
Thank you.
The other point that I would add, and we've gotten that question a lot of times too, and in a perfect world, you want to be able to do a perfect cost benefit between repair and replace, but it's not an apples to apples, because the process of designing what a replacement bridge would be much longer than we would tolerate having these closed. I think thinking about the area and the nature of the ecosystem and the historic assets, it would take the process of what the next one looks like would probably take years in a optimistic federal process, and is not an amount of time anybody would want to be waiting without the asset in place. So by adding substantial service life that does, to Keith's point, mean that we're not back out here anytime soon, and we're in the world of decades, not years. It also means that any conversation about what happens decades out can happen in due time without having to have the sort of immediate impacts of a really painful closure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we have a funding question, which I know Director Liu touched on this a little bit, but the question is, how will the $111 million costs affect future Region 3 CDOT projects, such as routine asphalt overlay projects?
To answer that, I can take that one brief. The funding was approved out of the Colorado Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise, which is a substantial fund that is specifically geared towards bridge maintenance, with tunnels added in a few years ago, primarily to be able to accommodate repair of the Eisenhower Tunnel. Taking over $100 million out of an account like that absolutely means that other projects get pushed. It's not the 10-year plan dollars where Region 3 has a specific allocation that will be kind of adjudicated in the next couple of months. But it does mean that, if you take an amount of money like that off the top, it pushes something else out the back. Our hope is that it will not impact the smaller projects across the region too immediately. And certainly we wouldn't push anything where the nature of the repair was immediate, but we also can't say that taking that much money out of the budget doesn't have impacts to other projects. And that's part of why we are going to push really hard to try and get some portion of this reimbursed or awarded to us in a manner where it can contribute from the feds.
Great, thank you. All right, another question is, why not keep the bridge open at night?
So just to clarify that a little bit, and the quick deck and these bridges move even under the limited amount of construction traffic that we've monitored. The girders move, the quick deck moves, and when you put traffic on the bridge, it's going to move a lot more. So just envision standing up there with the drill on this quick deck that's moving, trying to drill thousands of holes through the structure. Not to mention, we have to put a crane on the bridge to lower these pieces of steel down into place. And having the crane on with traffic is not an option from the construction loading perspective. So those are all the things we have to consider. And now we haven't had full traffic on the bridge yet while we're working. So that's what we've discussed, is we're going to see how it goes in these first limited windows, see how much movement we get, see how safe it is for the folks down there working. Because the other part we got to think about is we need to be done by the end of this season, construction season. I mean, that's the now number 2 goal for us, is to be done and not be back here, next year talking about this. Nobody wants that. So we will see how it goes, and we'll make every effort to accommodate more traffic as long as we can keep safety and maintain our schedule to be done in October.
Great, thank you. We have a question from the commissioner.
Hi, Commissioner Puckett Daniels. One easy question and one clarifying question. The easy question, I think. Are you going to allow bicycles across the bridge during the opening? They weigh less than a motorcycle. Okay, so that's question 1. Yeah.
My name's Tracy Trulove, and I work with the EVIT team. The decision is safety.
Yeah.
You've got one lane, piloting cars, adding bikes. The CDOT team and the construction team determined that's just not a good idea.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure we were clear with the public.
Yeah, and it's out on the press release. It's been
Yeah.
out there, and I think, the JIC team, Nicole's team is moving out as well, but I know right now the answer is no.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't see it on the chart. So for anyone that was a guest in the room and wanted to know, I think we do get cross-country cyclists on Highway 50. And so there have been some questions around that. So just wanted to make sure we were clear. And then the clarifying bit, looking at the Lake Fork Bridge, understanding that there's a couple different scenarios there. You've got more information you need to gather. I don't know if you can pull that slide back up again, but it looked like there might be nighttime closures on the Lake Fork Bridge for construction, understandably, because you've got to get under there and do some work. And Martin, are we coordinating opening of County Road 25 with those nighttime closures so that if somebody has to get through at night, they can? Is there a conversation around how those two things will sync with each other?
Yeah, I think that we have a lot of variables that we're working on in order to make sure that we do have some consistency for the public, but we have had closures from 11 p.m. until that 6 a.m. Opening. We have multiple considerations when we do that, from wildlife to the safety of the travel along that road to the cost of having the additional flaggers out there for that time. We already are seeing our numbers drop off from hundreds, 500 cars in a release down to 10 at those late night releases. And so in order to be conscious of the money we're spending, I think the $21 million that was listed on this being spent on county road maintenance includes the maintenance of traffic, just to be clear. And I think it's probably the bulk of the expenditure, but Jason would be able. Yeah.
So like if the are we thinking that County Road 25, if the Lake Fork Bridge has to have closures and there's openings on 25, it'll be in a piloted schedule similar to 26?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I feel like we need to sort of clarify for folks is there's a potential for these closures on the Lake Fork Bridge. And I think the question becomes, well, what happens next? How do we get through? What happens to these families in Sapanero? So I wanted to make sure we were addressing how those two things intersect with each other.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, and thank you to repeat Tracy's answer for are bicyclists allowed onto US 50? Because I know some folks online were able to hear and know they are not. It's a safety issue, but cyclists can use Kebler Pass as a detour. All right. Next question online is, when will County Road 25 be open for residents?
So right now it is open to residents. We have directed all of the mail and package delivery that they're allowed to go up on that road to make local deliveries. There is a single barricade at the 9-mile marker that basically bisects that road. So you have access from the south or access from the north. So it is a point closure, not a closure of access to the property. And so we understand that it is frustrating to have this occur, but what we have seen repeatedly on that road is the padlocks are cut, the gates are destroyed. We've gone up and done repairs even today to those things. And the moment that those things are cut or the moment that those things are destroyed, the word gets out and traffic goes through the roof. And from 15 years with the county, from talking to residents that have owned and lived up there for 40 years, that road sees washboarding and potholing and damage rapidly that makes it unsafe to drive. And so limiting the amount of through traffic is the goal of that gate, so that residents can get to their houses without 1,000 cars driving past them without any consideration for safety along that road. So again, decisions for traffic control are being made from a safety perspective first and foremost. 25 opening for traffic will be a coordinated situation where it is published to the public. As Commissioner Puckett Daniels pointed out, it will be a piloted experience on County Road 25 as well. It's again from a safety perspective. I think there was, yeah.
Great, thank you. All right. All right, next question. I know we get this a few times, so Keith, maybe you can answer. Are there any plans to replace the bridges?
At this point in time, we're not looking at full replacement. With that said, as Director Liu indicated a little bit earlier, we throughout this process, when we're talking about a magnitude of $111 million, we always have to take a look at what are the other scenarios. We started pricing what full replacements of this bridge would cost. With that said, that's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen by the fall of 2024, which we are projecting to get both of these bridges repaired back up to its pre-issue condition, and extend the life of these bridges for many years to come. So I think what we will be doing moving forward is looking at a planning effort. We have to do forward thinking on the replacement of these bridges. Bridges only last so long. We need to get through all the processes from an environmental perspective, from a transportation perspective, to make sure that we can replace these bridges while the other bridges are in service. So our first priority is to get these bridges back open to the public down here, and then take a look at the replacement options into the future.
Great, thank you. All right. So school will be starting soon, and sports teams are going to start playing away games and having home games as well. Are we going to allow minibuses to use the bridge? And if not, are we going to allow them to use County Road 25 to be used when we have games at night?
So I can start off on what the loads or on the permitted loads on these bridges will be into the future. As the repairs continue on these bridges, they will get stronger. We will always be taking a look at from a structural perspective, once these repairs are complete, can we begin increasing the loads on a periodic basis or a cycle up through the end of construction? We want to make sure that we're marrying this all together from the middle bridge to the Lake Fork Bridge, so that we, just like coordinating our closures between the two bridges or any type of the traffic control on the county roads. We want to do it in a sequential manner and make sure we're not trapping anyone through there. So we will continue to look at increasing the loading on this bridge as the construction duration progresses towards completion. So that'll be an ongoing thing that we continue to take a look at. So specifically on the questions of the buses, we will take that into consideration. That'll be some of the first things we look at as we put our first term goal of emergency vehicles. We know that buses are right next to that to get the kids back and forth to school. So that'll be a priority on an analysis of what the school buses are. I think our structural engineers did a great coordination with the emergency services down here to understand what vehicles are out there, what vehicles need to get across the bridge. There's no reason we can't do that with the school district as well, and understand exactly what vehicles are out there to make sure we can get them across this bridge.
Great, thank you. All right, we have an in-person question. Go ahead.
You were talking about the nighttime closures on the Lake Fork Bridge. Can you expound on that a little more and give us a little more details? When do you expect those nighttime closures to start? And what's the time of that closure? Is it like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or when can we expect that to happen?
Yeah, at this point in time, we are expecting some of the initial closures late in July. I don't know the exact date in July. As our inspections progress to the point where we need to take the asphalt mat off of the deck, that's where we have to close it down in order to mill that surface off. Right now, we haven't put any timeframes on it at this point in time, but as we begin to get information on the Lake Fork Bridge, we will release that information out. If we have planned closures, we will make sure that we have that information in advance, just like our previous press releases. I don't know if we will be looking at, I would assume very similar closures to the middle bridge. So at this point in time, the 6 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. would most likely be the scenario. We don't have that etched in stone right now on what we're going to do, but we will definitely get that information out ahead of time.
Okay.
And just to add some color there, once again, we'll see how Bridge B performs with traffic on it first. And then just so everyone knows, the phase 2 repairs are pretty much a carbon copy from Bridge B to Bridge A. I mean, we have to do the same thing that we're doing from this point on the Lake Fork Bridge.
And will both of those bridges be done by October?
That's what we're going to do.
Okay. Even with keeping the middle bridge open twice a day and.
Yeah, but that informs what we do for Lake Fork Bridge, and there will have to be some nighttime closures for us to get the work done.
Okay. And then that's when you'll coordinate with 25 opening to get people through overnight if they need to. Okay.
And
Thank you.
one of the pieces of information we don't have right now is how much the crews who are working underneath the bridge will be able to tolerate maintaining their workload while people are driving over it, because the deck underneath shakes.
Right.
So we should know more about that in even a week or two, because there will be some data to show us what happens once tomorrow's reopening happens. So that's why that information isn't available yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. So question about the opening. What is the latest time you'd need to be in line before the 6:30 p.m. For westbound and eastbound traffic to get across US 50?
So if you're in line in the queue at 6:30, you'll be allowed through. We'll clear the queues and then we'll shut off traffic at that point.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Next question online. And I can help answer this too, panelists. When will we be changing the overhead highway signs, i.e. west of Poncha Springs and Co-Trip to indicate that the bridge is open to restricted travel? And will cotrip.org show County Road 26 as a detour? So as it stands right now, our cotrip.org platform does not allow us to display local access routes. So we can't put County Road 26 as a detour. We also don't really want to advertise this statewide for folks to clog up County Road 26 if they're just passing through the area and not making stops within the community surrounding the US 50 closure. However, for the overhead signs that are closer to the closure, that would be a little bit more accessible for community members. We can talk with our traffic operations center to see about changing up that language, but that's just some additional context as to why we can't show the County Road 26 as a detour on Co-Trip. And do we have an approximate date for a Lake Fork Bridge briefing with updates and photos and repair options?
We have not set a date at this point in time. We will take that into consideration and figure out a proactive date to provide information regarding the Lake Fork Bridge.
At this time, we don't have any damage that we've seen, anything like that. But as we do more inspections, if we find some, there will be a briefing on the condition of the structure and if it changes any of our schedule.
And I think we've been on a fairly regular cadence of doing these every 2 weeks. I would suggest that we use the briefing in 2 weeks' time to provide what we know in 2 weeks about the cadence there. I mean, we'll certainly know more in 2 weeks than we do now, and that can be one of the topics we go deeper on.
Great, thank you. All right, why can't local residents travel from Highway 50 over County Road 25 to their property in Blue Mesa subdivision off of Blue Mesa Drive? Currently, they have to get off of County Road 26.
Yeah, we've been monitoring that traffic during construction with flaggers. We do have gates that we usually use for our sage grouse closure on the north side and at the 6 mile marker on the other side. But a lot of it is driven by cost. A gate, well, we have to go down and repair it, is a lot less expensive than having flaggers there 24/7 to monitor traffic going across. We also have we've witnessed people telling us stories to get up there. And a lot of people have second homes with license plates from out of town or driver's licenses from out of state. And so proving someone lives there or doesn't is difficult. And flaggers are not police officers. They don't carry weapons or have badges. And so they are there to enforce traffic safety. The best way to manage traffic in an equitable way is to have the middle of the road at the 9 mile marker blocked and access from either side. There is additionally, as I'm told by our attorney, an issue with creating a special class of citizen with more or less access than other citizens. So this is the even approach, unfortunately, and I understand that it has more of an impact on the people that are living on the road, but it is the approach that we intend to continue to utilize on County Road 25. And again, it's about the through traffic, not the access to the property. And so we're trying to stop those people that are just trying to find the fastest route from coming through people's neighborhoods and having that impact. That's why our traffic control vehicles are traveling the speed limit or whatever's safe. I was up there when it was raining and muddy on 26 and they were going slower because they're trying to make sure people are safe on those roads.
Thank you. All right, we have an in-person question. Go ahead.
So what are the special classes of citizens that are allowed to use Kelber Pass willy-nilly whenever they want? And you limit residents from accessing their property? I don't understand the construction differences between Kebler Pass, still a very high mountain, bad road, and County Road 25, that you're limiting 25's access, but not Kevlar's. I feel like we're being punished for being next to a bridge, and Crested Butte is giving privilege for reasons I guess I won't mention.
We are, like I said, have flaggers on Kevlar. They're making sure that they're enforcing the weight limits and length limits, and both of those are safety oriented. If you've been across Kevlar, you know we have traffic lights up at the 1 mile marker due to stresses in the road. We've had a slough on the edge of the road. We're having an engineering firm work on solutions for that. We also have all the soft spots and damage that are occurring going across that road. That road does sustain traffic numbers in the 500 to 700 cars per day through most of the summer. And it has been built and maintained over the years. It sees more maintenance and more attention than any other gravel road in the county. But it is definitely different. It has much lower sustained grades. Blaine's Hill, for example, is less than 10%. And we're at 13 to 14% on the switchbacks and climbing out of the canyon on the north side. So much steeper and much tighter corners and much worse visibility on County Road 25. It also is much more prone to seeing people that are not from the area. I haven't followed someone across. My employees have followed people across that are scared to death on 26. And as I said before, it's a straighter, less consequential road that's been maintained to be safe. And people aren't expecting to be on a gravel road. And well, we know that locals can do that. Opening up a road and allowing people to drive across, they're going to end up in a situation they didn't expect when they left wherever they came from to come across. So while there are people that could access it safely and have used it safely over the years, we are addressing the whole of the potential access when we make our safety decisions. And I understand and feel the frustration. And I've spent hours on the phone talking to people about this and meeting with people in person. And I'd be happy to continue this conversation after the meeting and try to explain some of the situations we've found that have arisen and why we're making these decisions on county roads. I will point out that we do talk at length with CDOT in meetings every week, multiple meetings, and we really do focus on the impacts that's happening in the community and how we can continue to have a safe bridge and county road bypasses. So these decisions are not taken lightly.
Great, thank you. All right, another question for you, Martin. How fast will traffic be moving on County Road 26 or 25?
The flagger vehicle has been instructed to travel at 35 miles an hour. And but then if we get torrential downpour like over this last weekend, they do slow that down. And so it is kind of responsive to the situation, but we don't intend that they exceed the speed limit. I have been in the releases and you get that accordion effect where you're going 10 miles an hour and then everybody speeds up to 50 and then goes 10 again, where the cars are just not following each other. Right. So the person in the back sees that exponential impact from that acceleration and deceleration, but our flagger vehicles are going the speed limit.
Great, thank you. All right, and I just wanted to flag this special comment that we got for Kendall from Jennifer Bruno. She said to thank you, and that they also echo that they'd love to see the fireworks in Gunnison, and they thank you for bringing their voice to the table, and that they love you.
And I will just say real quick to that, while we've been sitting up here, I know Kiewit's been having some discussions behind the scenes trying to figure out everything they can do. And there's a good chance we'll be able to do it, but we'll let you know for sure a little bit later. We have to get some of the details worked out. Okay.
Thank you. All right, next question is, are inspections going to be more frequent to make sure that repairs are doing what they're expected to do and ensure that the bridge isn't getting worse?
I think that's a great question. It definitely something that we'll be thinking about as these repairs get made. We go through the design process. We are in what we call a CMGC. It's an alternative delivery method here where we have the designers and the contractor sitting at the table, making decisions based upon sharing information each other and trying to make the best decisions from a design perspective and also a constructability perspective. That is our main focus right now, is to get this bridge repaired. We will be looking into the inspection frequency, what we need to do. We're also very focused on the inspection of the work. Kiewit is a very quality contractor, but we also need to make sure from an independent perspective that we are getting that quality out of that construction, so that we are seeing what we believe will be the life expectancy out of these repairs. We also, or as the construction is occurring, like I mentioned earlier, we have sensors on the bridge monitoring different loads, different vehicles, making sure that this bridge is reacting the way that it should be and that it's planned. But yes, we will be taking a look at the frequency of the inspections that are required, the type of inspections that are required moving forward, to make sure that this bridge is acting and behaving like we've calculated and that we've planned on. I've also seen some questions in the chat related to the inspections on the concrete, so I just want to address that. As we were doing the safety inspections on the steel portions of these bridges, we also had crews out doing the inspections on the underground portions of the underwater portions of this bridge as well. So we did have divers down taking a look at the conditions of the concrete below the water, and then also our inspectors were taking a look at the conditions of the concrete above the water. We have no concerns with the concrete, what we call the substructure of these bridges. They are behaving as originally designed in the concrete process. So, but we will be monitoring the concrete to make sure that the increased loads that we're adding to this bridge, that concrete is not behaving improperly as well. So we will have our experts taking a look at this bridge during the repairs and then into the future.
Great. Thank you, Keith. All right. We have a person who said that they're still not getting any postal or package delivery in Sapanero. And I was wondering if one of our panelists, maybe a commissioner, can let them know who they should reach out to help just raise awareness about that issue.
I mean, we have had several conversations historically with our federal delegation, including Senator Hickenlooper and Bennett, and we're continuing to try and chase down those opportunities. All I can say is that it's just a difficult position to coordinate that with the local post office, but we are working on trying to find a solution.
Great, thank you.
I'll drop from cap too.
Right, so with all the cars and trucks using County Road 26 and 149, what has been done to save the Lake City Bridge from needing a lot of repair?
I believe the Lake City Bridge is I think it was, as we got into this process, it was the third steel bridge across the Blue Mesa Reservoir. I can't answer any specific questions what we've done. I know we haven't made any repairs to that bridge, but good point, and we'll be taking a look at it, but it should be sufficient to handle the increased traffic.
Great, thank you. All right, and another upcoming event that I just wanted to flag for our Kiewit team perhaps to look at is there's Cattleman Days coming up. And so folks are concerned about allowing Arrowhead and Sapanero communities to visit that. So maybe that's something that we can also look into.
When is that?
Cattleman's Days, next couple of weeks.
Yes, and the Wednesday is when they start showing animals. So there will be transportation of animals and vehicles. So if you could spare me, we have to transport chickens for our daughters to show on Wednesdays and Friday, or Wednesdays and Saturdays. The auction, the livestock auction is on Saturday. So yes, it's a busy week that week of 4-H and patterns.
Lots of horses and trailers.
Yes, a lot of horses come this way. Yeah.
Where we go?
It's the 179 years.
124, okay. Maybe it was over.
Great, thank you. All right. And then the next question is, how confident are we that the repairs will handle all legal traffic? And how will we know if the repairs are working as planned?
Man, the confidence level here. So I would say we're very confident. I wish I could explain the number of structural engineers that we have behind the scenes working on this bridge throughout the country. We have experts from the construction side with Kiewit infrastructure engineers, taking a look at all of the calculations, all of the math that our engineers from a CDOT perspective. We have our staff bridge. We have Michael Baker International, which is an international design firm behind us on the design side. We have experts that have dealt with this type of bridge across the United States, taking lessons learned from the other bridges that have been through these efforts. I would say we are very confident that the repairs that we're making to this bridge will handle legal loads in the fall of 2024 and for years to come. So confidence level is high. We have a tremendous team working on this to make sure that we are correct. And we have, we've presented information over the past several weeks, anything from a localized repair to a global repair. As we continue to learn more about this bridge, we had to make some pivots along the way. We had to take a look at what type of steel we could get from the mills across the United States. We had to take a look at the timing of when we can get that. This steel is getting milled quicker than a lot of bridges across the United States and a lot of steel deliveries. I think some of the steel will be showing up in a matter of a few weeks from North Carolina. After it gets fabricated through a couple shops. So I think tremendous efforts being made behind the scenes to make sure that we get this repaired. We have to remember of the milestone of winter coming in this area to make sure that construction is done. This construction would be very difficult in the winter conditions. So we have to make sure that this bridge. So I've heard a lot of questions tonight on requests on certain days. We will be taking all of that into consideration, but we have to keep the milestone of getting this repaired. So when November does come, that we're not still sitting here explaining what the closures look like on these bridges. So we have to do a delicate balance of trying to accommodate traffic on this bridge, but making sure our contractor has enough time frame to drill all these holes. I mean, we're talking thousands of bolts and plates on these bridges to get these repairs done. So we will be taking every effort to make sure that we can get it done, and we'll assess our schedule on a daily basis. Kiewit is great at scheduling. We will continue to work with them to make sure our milestones achievable. And if we begin to have some flexibility, if our production rates are going through, it's open for conversation of accommodating different events and stuff like that. So I think more to come on all that information. We'll continue to update everyone throughout periodic updates. When we have information, we'll try to get that information to you all.
All right, next question, and we only have about 7 minutes left. What is the plan if the bridge needs to be closed unexpectedly during the holiday weekend?
Well, the only plan we really have is to, shut the bridges down and to use our detour routes that we have prepped and ready. That's the best we can do. That's our only options at this point. If that event would happen, but right now that's not expected.
Right. Thank you. Are there any other questions in the audience? Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to clarify for
Oh, Nicole, do you want to come up?
I just want to clarify that for the checkpoint at Highway 149 and US 50, for those who are going to be bringing any vehicles that are more so for recreation or trailering anything, will they be allowed to get to the Blue Mesa area? Just to clear up any confusion for those, especially during this holiday weekend. Just prior, it just sounded like any prohibited vehicles would be told to go to County Road 26 and just to help out the businesses in the rec area.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Sure.
that clarification. So no, if they're going to recreate along the Blue Mesa Reservoir and stay on that north side, they will be allowed to pass the first flagging station. But then they wouldn't be able to get into the line of queues to pass over the bridge. So, yeah.
Great, thank you for that. All right, no other questions in the room? Perfect. Oh, yes, go ahead. If you want to come up to the microphone. Thank you. All right, I do want to just take a quick moment to say thank you to everybody who has joined us in person, who has shared your experience. Of course, we have great partners with Montrose and Gunnison and Hinsdale counties, as well as the Western Slope. But hearing from the people who live here and what you experience on a daily basis really helps us a lot as we're determining the closures and what we're doing on for our construction repairs. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this and traveling out here. I know it's not easy. You all have plans, you have busy lives, especially this is a busy holiday week. So we really want to hear your perspectives. This is so valuable for us every time that we are out here. This is our 5th public meeting. There's more to come, but that really does shed just a light on everything you're going through. So we really do appreciate hearing from you, and we want to keep hearing from you. Even if we aren't having a hybrid public meeting, we do have our channels that you can get in contact with us. We have our hotline number, which we will share a screen here in a second. You can call our team and we can help to answer any questions that you might have. We have our email. So if you email us at us50bridge@gmail.com, we'll get back to you with any questions that you have. Again, we want to hear about your experiences. We want to hear about these events that are so important to your community so that we can plan for that and see if there's anything we can do to accommodate it. We can't make any promises. It's not always possible, but we do want to hear from you about that. And then, of course, all of our information can be found on our website. If you go to bit.ly/US50bridge, that's just a shortened version of the URL, but all of this information can be found on the website, as well as a recording from today's meeting will be published onto the website and our YouTube page. There is a Facebook page that is run by Gunnison. Nicole over here is the one who helps to feed that information. So you can follow us on facebook.com/US50bridge. And then, of course, sign up for our email updates. So all of the information today that we talked about, the reopening schedule, the Lake Fork Bridge, single lane closures, that's all going to be posted onto the e-blast that goes out on a weekly basis. So be sure to sign up for that. But as I said, this will be recorded. It will be posted hopefully sometime this week, but just keep an eye out for that. And I'll let this team of our panelists let it give you a chance for any closing remarks you might have.
I would just clarify that the cadence of public meetings will continue, recognizing that this is an important milestone, but not the only one. So I just want to make sure folks are clear that we will continue this dialogue until the project is done, with sort of a combination of in-person and virtual meetings to make sure that the kind of dynamic back and forth continues. And just want to give you every confidence that we realize this is not the end of the road on this, and that the kind of level of communication has to continue until it's actually done.
And I also just want to thank everybody for being here tonight and to reinforce that we hear how difficult this is, and we hear that not every answer that has been given is satisfying to everybody. And this is a really painful thing for everybody to endure. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to empathize and send my heart out to all of you who are struggling, and also to say that, you know, we've got a great team of people who are working really hard to make this as livable as possible for everybody. and to get everything open as quickly as possible. And so I just thank you for your patience. I thank you for your grace. And we look forward to a day where heading west out of Gunnison is not fraught with all kinds of stops and closures.
Actually, that made me realize we left out one third rail issue that has come up in every meeting, but this one. We have been in active touch with the Federal Highway Administration about when the Little Blue Canyon project is done. It was supposed to be done by July 4th. It is very close. The outstanding issue that will take a few more days, but not much longer, is that we found a drainage issue that we implored on them to get their contractor to fix while they were still on site. So that last issue is being fixed, but it's very, very close, and it's like within a few days of being done.
All right, thank you, everybody. That will conclude our meeting for today.
Forgot that one. Well.